Bloomberg Audio Studios. Podcasts, radio, news.
The Stock Movers Report, your roundup of companies making moves in the stock market, harnessing the power of Bloomberg data.
Let's take a look at some stocks on the move today. I'm Tim Stenovec, joined by Nora Melinda. She's Bloomberg Television Markets correspondent. Nora, no shortage of things moving, especially late in the session today.
Lots going on at the end of the session today. I was looking at shares of Disney. That's ticker DIS here. We looked at shares that fell 1% at the closing bell. But it was interesting because, of course, what we saw right as we were about to hit the close today is the fact that Jimmy Kimmel Live will actually be returning to airways after Backlash. This will be resuming back on Tuesday. Of course, we know that the ABC late night host was really pushed away off of the show. And so we're really seeing him coming back. And it's really been after the fact that there's been so much protest, so much uncertainty about what was going to happen with Jimmy Kimmel and whether or not the show would be able to continue here. But we did see this news come out and we did see the stock pairing some of its declines, but of course still ending there in the red.
Yeah, it fell as much as 2% in the session and then bounced from that later in the session when we got that news. The Bloomberg News team reporting that Jimmy Kimmel will address the controversy when he returns to the stage. That's according to people with knowledge of the matter who asked not to be identified. Something tells me the story is not over yet, though.
Not over at all here. Also looking at shares of Oracle. Let's take a look there. Ticker there, ORCL. It earlier hit an intraday record. Of course, we know this stock has really been in the news quite a bit recently. It settled about a gain of 6.3% at the close today. But this is after the idea that TikTok's algorithm is going to be secured by the company under a Trump deal here. So Oracle would provide security and help oversee the recreation of a new U.S. version of TikTok's algorithm. Great news for them, especially as you think about all these companies right now clamoring for any sort of access to TikTok's algorithm, considering all that they've really gained over the past year and all the attraction.
Yeah, it's been really at the center of so many different stories. And there's some executive shuffle there today as well. Safra Catz, the company's longtime CEO all the way back since 2014, and she led the company with Mark Hurd until 2019. She has taken a step back, and two other folks are going to be stepping in her place. Magouyrk and Mike Sicilia will become the co-chief executive officers, signaling the company's focus on its rapidly expanding cloud computing business. So lots of news in the cloud world.
Much to cover there.
Okay, from the clouds down to the ground, because in your DNA, you cover home builders.
Absolutely. Looking at shares of Lennar. Can never escape it.
You can never escape it.
Doesn't matter what we talk about. Have to bring it back to the U.S. housing market here. Let's look at shares of Lennar. They closed lower by 4.3% at the closing bell today. And this is after Raymond James, an analyst over there, cut the recommendation on the home builder to underperform from market perform. Of course, we know this company reported earnings sometime last week, but this is actually the lone bearish voice that we're seeing on the company here, according to data that we have at Bloomberg. And they're essentially saying that they believe that the market is underestimating the timeline that it may take for Lennar to restore its margins and also return to historical averages. So it's really interesting, especially as we think about the backdrop right now in the economy, what it looks like for the average home buyer right now. And, a lot of the strains that are really on the average consumer right now. And it seems as though the report that we saw from Lennar last week definitely echoed those sentiments.
The Stock Movers Report from Bloomberg Radio. Check back with us throughout the day for the latest roundup of companies making news on Wall Street. And for the latest market-moving headlines, listen to Bloomberg Radio live. Catch us on YouTube, Bloomberg.com, and on Apple CarPlay and Android Auto with the Bloomberg Business app.